2023. My name's NorbCam, NorbCam. Welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. And for those of you who have been here before, thanks for you for coming back. And I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't yet and join this Seahawks fun that we got coming up here. About ready to head out from my house to Lumen Field. Got to pick up my buddy Mark on the way. My dad won't be joining me today for this game. It's my parents' anniversary today, so they're celebrating it together at home today. But crucial game. I'm going to talk about it on this drive stream up to the stadium. A lot of people ask me, can you drive your, live stream your way up to the stadium? Okay, we're going to do it. And just for Tyler Parcher, who may or may not be watching out there, he loves his car startup, so I'm going to give him one right now. Here you go. NorbCam van in effect. Let's go. And hello to everybody. I won't be able to comment on your comments here as we go. Hey, quiet down now. All right, like Akshay, Ian, Casey Rules, Devo, SeaWorld 2022, Casey, I already said you, Zach, Taylor Made, who else? Post Baloney, Connor, what's going on? All right, we're gonna drive up here. Hopefully this holder will keep my phone intact. All right, heading up. It's gonna be about a 20-minute drive up to get Mark, and then another 15 or so minutes from his place to the stadium. So I'm leaving my place, which is here in technically Renton, Washington, and heading up north to the south end of Seattle to get Mark. So, what's on tap? What is up today? Well, basically today is the start of the playoffs as far as the Seahawks are concerned, right? Because this is it. Technically, we could lose this game, and if the other two teams really helped us out, we could still get in, but really for our best chances, and even those are slim, we need two other teams to help us out. We've got to get a win, and really what it comes down to, of the last two games, we've got to finish one ahead of both the Packers and the Commanders. That's it. If we win two, they can only win one. If we win one, they've got to win none. If we tie, well, we're in trouble. So the best case scenario today would be that the Commanders lose today to the Browns and the Vikings beat the Packers. If the Vikings beat the Packers, Packers are out. And then it'll be about just trying to stay ahead of the Commanders. So we're rooting for the underdogs here. Actually, I'm not sure if the Vikings are underdogs in Lambeau, but I feel like anytime anybody goes into Lambeau, it's never a good situation for the visiting team. The Browns taking on the Commanders. We'll see how that goes. At the time when I left, I think it was like tied up or something. It was pretty close. So a lot could still happen. That one. We'll know the result of that. We'll know how much pressure we're under by the time the kickoff starts. We'll know if it's like a win or go home situation in our stadium. But it'd be sure nice to have some good news from those two teams for us. But it is, man, home field has not been good, especially recently. I mean, when you think about it, we haven't won a game at home. We haven't witnessed a win at home since October. Do you realize that? I haven't actually looked. I think it was Halloween, but we have not seen a win at home since basically Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Germany game, which was in November. Everything started to unravel at that point. So I believe it was end of October, but I think that was the last home win. Since then, we've lost to the Raiders, we've lost to the Panthers, we've lost to the 49ers at home. And then we lost, we beat the Rams on the road, and then we lost to Kansas City. It's just not been good. Normally, this is the time of year when the Seahawks generally play their best football, but it has not been the case as of late. Just this thing here. Yeah, it's just been struggling, and what happened to the home field advantage, man? What happened to home field advantage? Yes, so yes, we are still in the hunt, but it's a 3-team race right now. Seahawks, Commanders, and the Packers. And those 2 teams hold basically tiebreakers over us. Well, not tiebreakers. The Commanders are technically a half game ahead of us because of their tie. So the Packers have a tiebreaker over us, and the Commanders are a half game above. So we got to leapfrog the Commanders, and we've got to not tie, which means we got to leapfrog the Packers as well. So that's it. The playoffs for us start now. And even if we win out, right? The ideal thing is we win out. But even if we win out, that doesn't guarantee anything. Because if we win out, and the Packers win out, and the Commanders win out, then the Commanders would get that last wild card spot. So we have to get help no matter what we do. But we definitely need this win today. So how likely is that win today? I predicted in my music video clip, you might have seen it, for my beginning of the year music prediction video, I said we would win this game in a close one, 23-20. And I'm standing by that. I think that's a very realistic score. I do think it's going to be close. I'm kind of done saying we should win this game these days, because every time we've said we should win this game, it seems like we don't. So nothing is really. We are now the team that when you go, oh well, we should beat this team. Well, now everyone's looking at us and going, well, we should beat this team. Because Seattle hasn't really beaten anybody. Except a really bad Rams team that we played in LA a few weeks ago. So outside of that, it's been the struggle bus for sure for us. My nose keeps running. My nose running. There's nothing worse. It seems like you're, for me anyway, it's like when I have something on my face and I know I can't touch it, that's when everything in the world makes me want to touch it. Or I blow my nose, or I itch or whatever. It sucks. Anyway, so what else? The Jets. And the Jets, they've been struggling too. They've lost several games. They kind of remind me a little bit about us. We were like hot in the playoff hunt, and then they slipped. You know, lost a bunch of their games too, with I think one win in the mix of all that. So we got 2 teams that are both in kind of the same struggling boat. But probably the biggest change is the fact that White is coming in a quarterback to replace, Wilson, who was epically struggling over the last couple of weeks, really polarizing quarterback. The Jets fans really turned on him. I think a lot of it because of what he said in a post-game press conference, where he didn't really take accountability for his own play. And was that what it was? He was asked about, do you feel like you let the defense down, something like that? And he said, basically, no, I don't. Nothing like a little humble pie, man, goes a long way. Especially in New York, man. Those fans are unforgiving. Short leash. So, who's going to struggle more today? The interesting things to watch is going to be, we got the 2 rookies, potential rookies of the year candidates going against each other. You got Sauce Gardner of the Jets having a good season, and of course Tariq Woolen, who's having even a better year. It's too bad. It's like Tariq Woolen had probably a couple of, maybe 2 or 3, 2 for sure, interceptions. I think the Panthers for sure was one he should have had, and then he almost had one against the 49ers. There might have been another one in there, but dude could have been up to 8 interceptions, really put him in the front, but it hasn't had any recently, so it'd be nice to pick that slack up today and get a couple more notches on him. So that'll be something to watch. Another thing to watch for, Geno, quietly, I know he's been not as hot as he was when we were winning, but anytime you have a defense that's struggling, when you have a running game that's sort of evaporated, it's going to make it tough on quarterback, because the defense kind of knows what they got to do. And when you're playing from behind, you become one-dimensional. They're going to sit back and expect to pass. So, that sort of is going against the Seahawks not having a run game. So they really need to get the run game going. They did get the running game going in the second half against Kansas City. And Kenneth Walker actually ended up with over 100 yards in that game, which normally you think if Walker gets 100, you can win that game, but just too little too late really was the situation. So we need to get that kind of second half against the Chiefs going in the first half. I think he started running more north-south. He was doing too many of those bounces outside to try to get that, that like big explosive play, but instead he would find himself losing 4 or 5 yards. He did that a number of times, and not just this game, but against 49ers. And, so he needs to just hit that hole. And, even if you only get 1 or 2 or 3, it's better than losing 1 or 2 or 3, and give yourself at least a decent second down situation. So Kenneth Walker's got to step it up. How about props to Tyler Lockett, man, coming back, only missing a game after having hand surgery on that broken finger bone, coming back and playing. I mean, that is ballsy, man. That is just beastly to come back. I'm sure it doesn't feel great, to be coming back quickly. But he's doing it, and we need him, man. We missed him last week against the Chiefs, so having Lockett back would be huge. But going back to Geno, like I said, he has been struggling recently, but he's only, I believe, less than 120 yards shy of breaking 4,000 yards this year. And there's only been one other quarterback to do it. You know who that is. He did it 4 during his career here. All those greats that we've had, Matt Hasselbeck and Jim Zorn and Dave Craig, Warren Moon, they've all come 1,000, but they've never broken it. So Russell Wilson's the only one who's actually done it. And Geno Smith has the opportunity to break it today. Definitely, he's got 2 games to do it. Of course, we have 17 games this year, so all the other guys had to do it in 16 or less. So if he breaks it this year, he could legitimately, say, putting the stats without an asterisk, saying he broke 4,000 yards in 16 games. That's incredible. And he should do it, right? I know the Jets got a pretty decent defense, but, Geno's been pretty consistently being able to put numbers up, at least a couple yards per game. So I would expect, I'm expecting Geno to break that record. They'll announce it sometime whenever it happens today. Maybe in the first half. We'll see. It depends on how well they protect, how well they scheme, how well they run their routes, and Geno's decision making. But I think he can have a really good day today. As you can see in the background, it's been since yesterday. It's been cloudy. It was raining last night. Roads wet. I didn't see rain in the forecast, but if you look out in the sky right now, you'd think it's gonna be raining. It's definitely cloudy and dreary. There's no precipitation at the moment right now as I'm approaching 405 to get onto I-5. You guys are asking what section I sit in. So I sit in the same section all the time. Sometimes I sit in my seats, which is section 334, row AA. But when I work out arranged with Mark, who also sits in section 334, he sits in the very front, literally the front row of section 334. Mark handpicked those seats when the stadium was being constructed. It was part of his perks for having helped with the Save Our Seahawks campaign to keep the Seahawks in town, helping bring Paul Allen to the table and eventually getting the vote out there to pass the stadium. So Mark got to pick his seats. He specifically chose, they're basically 45-yard line, Seahawks side, front of the row, so nobody in front of you, and they're awesome seats. Yeah, they're upper deck, but they're the lowest part of the upper deck. So 334, row G. Can't miss it, in case you were wondering. So, where was I going with it? Where was I at? I got distracted. I was talking about, was it the 4,000 yards? 4,000 yards. Okay. So what other things to pay attention to? Obviously, our defense has been under a lot of scrutiny lately, struggling. The last couple of years, we've had our struggles where the defense starts off weak and then they finish strong. This year, they started weak, turned strong, and then went weak again. Ever since Tampa Bay, it's like all of a sudden teams can just run all over us. And Can we slow that down today? Well, the good thing is I think we get some guys back from injury. I think Al Woods will be back. Ryan Neal will be back. So these are key guys that, will be helpful in slowing down some of the run game. Now, I know that these guys were on the field too during those games when we gave up 200 plus yards or more. So it's not like these guys were the be-all, end-all of stopping the run, but they're better off with them than without them. So we'll see how the defense plays today. I think they've got to play disciplined football. I feel like what has been happening with the defense is everybody's been pressing. And what happens when you've got a defense that knows it's struggling and feels like, I got to do something more, I got to make a heroic play here. You end up doing more than what your job is asking you to do. And maybe if you're a defensive end, you're going to crash down to help that middle on that running back, because you know that, man, they've been running all the day out the middle. I better go peek in there and help out. And that's when they turn it outside, or they bootleg, they fake it and bootleg it out, and then that defensive end isn't there to contain. Little things like that. Linebackers doing the same thing. Maybe trying to jump a route because they think they're going to hit a slant to a guy you're not supposed to be covering, and then you let somebody else go behind you. That's how Kittle got open. A couple of blown assignments that had Kittle wide open for 2 easy touchdowns that shouldn't have happened. Little things like that. Some of that's rookie mistakes. Like one time that was a Tariq Woolen mistake, giving up his third of the field to try to cut off his crossing route and let Kittle get to his zone completely untouched, where normally if he just played a spot, there's no way he throws that football to him. And the other one too, I think it was Jordan Brooks maybe was supposed to chase Kittle out of his tight end position. So little jailbreak things, little things like that, we just can't afford to have happen. So I feel like a broken record talking about this stuff, but we got to also just be better on third down. Right? Third down's such a big thing, and we've been behind the ball in terms of defensive third downs, and then third downs for on offense. And a lot of it is, it's not just the third down percentage, but it's what down and distance are you facing in third down. Like in Kansas City, I swear to God, it seemed like we were third and 10 plus a whole bunch of times. Sometimes it's because of penalties, or maybe those aforementioned Kenneth Walker negative runs. You just can't have those negative plays that just completely kill what you're trying to do. Penalties, of course, can't have the stupid penalties. I mean, there's really no such thing as a not stupid penalty, right? Every penalty sucks. But the really dumb ones, false starts when you're on offense at home, that should never happen. Jumping on defensive linemen jumping offside, you just look at the ball, dude. Things like that. And at home, the defensive line is going to have the advantage because of the noise. So, that offensive lineman is going to be just a microsecond behind anyway. So no risk in trying to jump too early and give them free 5 yards. The other thing too is statistically, it's just like the score and some of the stats of some of these games that looked closer than we were. We've been beaten pretty bad lately on some of these games. The 49ers game looked closer than it was. The Panthers game looked closer than it was. Even Kansas City looked closer than it was, even if it wasn't even that close. But these are games where we got a lot of late garbage time touchdowns. Like you're down 2 scores, you get 1 touchdown with a minute left. Yeah, it looks like we only lost by a touchdown, but you're really out of it by, with 2 minutes left, your chances were pretty much done, given the time remaining. And so we need to play better. We need to get on top. We can't. This has been my biggest kind of gripe about Geno Smith. I mentioned so many before about the not being able to come from behind and win a game. He finally did that against the Rams. We've only done it once all season. But on top of that, it's just simply playing from behind. I don't think Geno Smith is a great quarterback when you've got a running game and you've got a lead, or at least close. But if you get down like 2 touchdowns, 3 scores, Geno, I don't think he's not, at least not this team, is not the team to explosively come roaring back. Our team is that's a Pete Carroll thing, that he's the, grind it out, win the time of possession, win the turnover game, have your defense make stops and just get a lead and hold on to it. Geno's great at that. Geno's not going to lose the game for you. I've said many times, he won't lose it for you. My concern though is that he can't win it for you when the chips are really stacked against you. That's really been my thing. If any reason I hold back on putting Geno in that like upper echelon category is that if you're down, like if the Bills or the Mahomes or the Chiefs are down 2 or 3 scores, you feel like, you know what, these guys will probably find a way to come back. There's only so many quarterbacks. I mean, I put 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, so how many other guys can really do that? Russell used to do it when he was in Seattle. But there's not a lot of quarterbacks who are just, you put in that, I'm not too worried about being behind 2 or 3 touchdowns. They can get back. Joe Burrow's another one. But Geno's that's not really his game. He's the kind of guy that, he's going to get you small chuck yards, hit you with a big one once in a while. But really, it's you work with your run game. Geno gets the first downs throwing it, and you have a lead, he'll protect it, and he won't give it away. That's I think what his strength is. So we have to have that complementary aspect. We got to have the running game going. We got to have the defense making stops, not giving up big plays, and you got to score early. We've been behind early in so many freaking games. It feels like lately. Chiefs down early, 49ers down early, Panthers down early. Can't remember on the Raiders game how that one started, but I felt like we had to come back in that one too. So it's just been tough. It just ever since that mid-season streak we had going, we won like 4 straight games or something. Where I felt like, hey man, maybe we can the Super Bowl division champion. Got a little too caught up in the euphoria of all that. Okay, the reality came crashing down. Dio Brando, what's up? Let's give them jet lag. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Dio. Thank you for the super chat support. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's what we got to do. And really, it is really like the early playoffs. We're getting kind of a gift here because. And I'm happy about this because I would, if you told me that with 2 games to go back in late August, if you told me, hey Norb, you know what? Not to spoil it or anything, but with 2 games left to go in the season, you're going to be battling for a playoff spot. I'd be like, what? Really? Because we were supposed to win like 4 games or 5 games. So, our season was supposed to be over like 2 months ago. So the fact that we're actually even talking about the playoffs, it just means, and I know a lot of you guys like to, oh no, I'd rather lose, I want the best pick. This is what it means when you have a game that means something. I'm driving up, I'm talking about it, I'm excited, there's something to play for, there's something, that you can still attain, and you're looking at the scoreboard, what are the other teams doing? It just adds interest and excitement to everything about being a fan. Now, of course, even if they were out and the season was done, sure, I'd still be going. I'd still be wanting to win. I'd still be cheering them on. But it's sure as hell more fun when you can keep feeling like, hey, the playoffs, still a possibility, still alive. It may end up in heartbreak at the end because we might take care of business this week, but it could all come crashing down next week, depending on how things go. But the fact that we're just enjoying this season that has meant something all the way up to the end, to me, that's worth more than hoping for a higher draft pick by a couple notches, in my opinion. And because I don't just watch it on TV. I'm coming to these games. I come here, I spend my whole day, putting all this stuff on, spending money. I want to spend money and have maximum entertainment. And it's a lot more entertaining when your team is fighting for something. So I'm just glad we're fighting for something. So I appreciate the Seahawks for giving us this gift of the 2022 season, which was not supposed to be any good, that we're actually talking about, making it in the playoffs. Who cares if they might get blown out or lose the first playoff game? You're in the playoffs. I don't get those people who say, oh no, I'd rather not make the playoffs and get a better draft pick. Screw you. First of all, you never know what happens. One turnover here, one fluke, play, one big breakaway run that somebody missed tackle on, or DK breaks a tackle, goes on. Everything could change. Anything could change. And the playoffs is just a whole other beast. So I will always take a playoff berth over a higher draft pick. And the other part of it too is that who knows how many more games any of us will get to watch, right? I've had the pleasure of having my dad with me on most of these games this year, and he got to even go see them in Germany. And, my dad's, 83? Is that right? 83? 83. Turned 83 this year. And while both my parents are in great health, they're still totally self-sufficient and everything, I know that, the years are getting up there, and I you keep hearing stories of all these different people that you grew up with that were famous people, Barbara Walters, Pele, all these different people, and they fortunately for them, they got to live a long life. But some people, left this world way younger than you think they should have. So you just never know. You never know when, that next day, week, year you're gonna get. We're on borrowed time here, folks. So